Can fertility lubricants actually impact your ability to get pregnant? Today we are breaking down some of the top lubricants or things people use for lubricants, and we're going to figure out what could be negatively impacting your ability to conceive, and we're going to be talking about things that might actually help you to get pregnant. So I'm Dr. Patty Haebe, Senior Medical Advisor at Premom, and this channel is all about helping you use the free Premom app and using ovulation tests to help predict when that ovulation is going to occur and help you get pregnant quickly and naturally as possible. So let's dive right into lubricants, okay? Today we're going to be talking about some of the most commonly used ones. I've blocked out the name brands because we don't need to really focus on those. We need to focus on the chemicals that are inside of them. So if you're ready to put your science cap on, we're going to get started. So for starters, lubricant is very important. Something like over 40% of women actually have vaginal dryness when it comes to intercourse. So it's very common that we need these things. So let's talk about lubricants because some of them actually can kill sperm and also negatively impact their motility, which is their ability to swim up, which is very, very important. They have to be able to swim all the way through your vagina, through your cervix, up into your the base of your fallopian tube to meet that egg and fertilize. So let's jump right in and start chatting about these. A few common things that we hear is really just your regular drugstore type of lubricant. And these really are not going to be the best. The reason being they're not actually formulated to match and mimic the vaginal pH or the sperm pH. So that's something really important that we're looking for when we are talking about lubricants, okay? So both your vagina has kind of an acidic environment. Sperm is a little bit more basic. All that really means for you is they want it in the sweet spot in order to survive. So your fertility lubricants need to kind of match that. Otherwise, they actually could start to kill the sperm. So your favorite drugstore lubricant is probably out. It doesn't matter if it's water-based or if it's silicone-based. It's probably not going to be a good fit for you, okay? Next, a lot of people think if it's organic or has natural on the label that, oh, it's probably good for fertility, right? Not necessarily. Actually, when it comes to fertility, we want to make sure we're using a lubricant that has it's mainly made of water and a component named hydroxyethyl cellulose. And we want to make sure that it doesn't have a bunch of other icky things in it as well. So this is a common example of a very typical fertility lubricant, and it's going to have the ingredient hydroxyethyl cellulose on the label. Now, I'm going to give you a few things to kind of watch out for when we're looking at lubricants, okay? I'm going to read my list to you so I don't miss one. So you want to avoid anything with glycerin, any flavoring, any kind of sugar, petroleum jelly, preservatives like parabens. Those are really icky and they're not good for sperm, and also they're endocrine disruptors, so get them out anyways. Propylene glycol, which is a very common ingredient in like a drugstore brand, for example, that can negatively impact sperm. Also, benzocaine, anything that has like a tingling sensation actually has sort of a numbing or irritating agent inside of it, and that also can really negatively impact sperm. In addition to that, some lubricants will have antibacterial ingredients, which we want to stay away from, and could be potentially kind of toxic ingredients for sperm. So those are kind of the things to stay away from. Now, actually, a lot of people also use things they have around the house. What is this? Olive oil, coconut oil. It's there. It's in your house. It's natural, food grade, so you'd think it would be okay. Not so much. Actually, olive oil was studied along with coconut oil. And if you're trying to get pregnant, we really don't want to be using our household food grade items. Not only can they cause a little bit of vaginal irritation, but studies have actually shown that they do negatively impact the way that sperm move. So that's not going to help us get pregnant. So we're just going to move those guys over to the side. So here's another interesting one. Actually, mineral oil, as weird as it sounds, it's not the cleanest thing in the world from an environmental kind of clean perspective, but mineral oil actually has been studied and doesn't seem to impact sperm motility. So if trying to conceive and needing a budget option, this is actually a possibility for you. And then let's talk about fertility lubricants, okay? There are fertility lubricants that are specifically designed to help people conceive. This can be for a few reasons. So not only would you be using lubricants for vaginal dryness and an improved sexual experience, but some people utilize fertility-based lubricants in order to mimic the fertile mucus that we naturally produce when we are in our fertile window. So if you've seen my videos before, we've talked about egg white cervical mucus. It's this very long, stringy kind of cervical mucus. And that is actually what your body needs in order to swim up. So I'm going to show you even here, this is a lubricant. See how it kind of stretches like that? That's really, really similar to actually what your vertical cervical mucus naturally does. And so that it's thought that if you do not have very much cervical mucus at all, that actually putting a little bit of fertility-based lubricant that's designed specifically for fertility up near the cervix can help those sperms swim a little bit. Now, some of them are going to have a few different ingredients. Some may actually add nutrients that are going to help support the sperm, like calcium and magnesium, but you want to be careful that there's not anything that's actually negatively impacting the way the sperm moves. So you do want to use something that's well researched and has really good clean ingredients in it. Now, there's two approaches to that. Again, you can use, a lot of them come with an applicator or a very long tube that you can kind of squirt right up there and it gets closer to your cervix, or some people just use it topically just to improve the experience. Either way is fine. Actually, a research study did come out though that looked at whether or not cervical mucus itself is going to be a game changer on whether you can get pregnant or not. And they found that it doesn't tend to move the needle that strongly, especially if you're somebody that doesn't produce a lot of egg white cervical mucus or fertile cervical mucus on your own. Also, if you're undergoing fertility treatments, such as using Clomid specifically, that actually has an impact on your estrogen receptors, and that sometimes can actually decrease the amount of fertile cervical mucus that your body produces. So especially women that are using Clomid treatments, a fertility-based lubricant can be super, super impactful. Here's another really, really important one to stay away from, guys, okay? And it is always within arm's reach. Saliva. I know it sounds crazy, but stay away from it. Saliva has just so much bacteria in it. It has a different pH than your body does. It actually can negatively impact the way that sperm move and swim. So we don't want to use saliva at all. That's kind of an interesting one, and I find that all my patients get very, very shocked about that. So let's see what else. We talked about saliva, we've talked about olive oil, we've talked about, avoiding parabens and other chemicals. Really just look at that ingredient list, make sure that it has research behind it. That's kind of the best way to see is there's a lot of studies that actually have tested different brands of lubricants, and you can kind of focus on those. So again, just make sure you're looking for safe options for lubricants. Again, the ones that made our list, they're good to go, is mineral oil or fertility intended lubricants. The one that are not going to make our list is going to be kind of organic, warming lubricants, your drugstore brand lubricants that have something that might tingle in it. And also, like this one, for example, has propylene glycol in it. We want to stay away from that. This natural one is made with aloe, which is great, but that isn't necessarily what we want for helping us to get pregnant and helping preserve those sperm. And then lastly, things around your house like olive oil or coconut oil, we do want to stay away from those. But oddly, the mineral oil has been studied and will do the trick in a pinch. So I hope that you guys have kind of enjoyed this. There's a lot to learn when it comes to fertility lubricants. And again, it's not necessarily going to move the needle on making you get pregnant or not, but it can be helpful in the process. So I would say if you don't need lubricant, the best thing is to not use anything, truly. But if you do feel like you need a little bit of help, then adding some in can be helpful just to make the entire sexual experience more comfortable for you, especially because, let's talk about intercourse timing quickly, okay? We're using ovulation tests. Again, the Premom app is going to take pictures of those and plug them right into the app for you. Super easy. Just a nice free way to keep everything in a row for you. It's going to predict the ovulation. You see your LH peak. You don't even need to have sex that day, the day after. But also, we want to have intercourse the 5 days before ovulation and ovulation day. So every other day tends to be really good. Every single day tends to be a lot for a lot of people. So every other day in the 5 days leading up to ovulation and ovulation day. And again, you can use the Premom app in order to use ovulation tests to track that LH peak. It's going to track all of that for you. And then it's going to tell you when to time intercourse within that fertile window. Just make sure that you're being really cautious about the lubricants you are using. Stay away from any chemicals or things that are not intended for fertility. Make sure you're focusing on things that have been well researched and well studied and are really going to support and optimize the way that your sperm perform, or at least not be negatively impacting motility or the way that they move. So if you have any more questions, feel free to comment them below or come on over to the free Premom app. Give it a download, jump in. There's a community there where you can ask questions to other community members. It's a great way for people to kind of connect and shoot ideas around. Also, we have an Ask an Expert feature where you can ask a question to a nurse or doctor and jump right in with them directly. So give them a try. Best of luck with all these lubricants, and we wish you the very best on your fertility journey. Take care.